You get that microphone in my hands and you, I swore to myself that I was not going to sing any of the Fiddler on the Roof songs on this podcast.
Come on, just a little
I,
bit.
oh, if I was a rich man,
There
yeah.
you go.
All right, that's it. All right, folks, it's time for our favorite podcast, Cut to the Chase. And maybe you're scratching your head. You're like, God, I really would like to do something fun, maybe theater or musical. I don't even know what's going on in town. And do I want to just go back and do the old traditional stuff? Or do I want to do some new funky stuff or whatever? Well, here we go in Miami. The Zoetic Stage has been around for 14 years. And I brought on Stephanie Demos, the president and co-founder of this very interesting theater. Is it a theater company?
It's a theater company.
Okay.
So it's a not-for-profit professional theater company. And most theaters, professional theaters, are not-for-profit, which people don't really realize.
Yeah.
The only for-profit theaters are really on Broadway.
Yeah.
So they're the only ones that can charge a ticket price that's large enough to cover the cost of the show.
That makes sense.
Everybody else subsidizes the ticket price for you so that you can come enjoy art in a professional theater house without having to pay a ticket price that's so exorbitant that nobody would be able to afford it. You get to appreciate art, and we subsidize that appreciation for you.
All right. Now, just full and fair disclosure, I know Stephanie from years ago in the legal world, a great lawyer. And I'm just as an aside, you're still practicing malpractice.
Legal malpractice, commercial business litigation. I'm an all-around civil litigator.
And so how in tarnation, I mean, I don't see you for like 2 decades, and now all of a sudden I see you in the theater world. How did this all come together for you?
Okay. So I've always loved theater since I was a child. I happened to marry a guy who is also a lawyer, my partner. He's my partner-in-law and my husband. And he wanted to write. He had gone out to LA before he went to law school to be an actor. He decided that that was not going to work out for him, went to law school, but he still wanted to be involved in the arts. And he had tried to write screenplays, and that's a hard sell. So he thought, let me try to write a stage play. So he started writing stage plays probably 20 years ago. And he was winning some awards. He was doing some play readings over at Actors Playhouse.
Okay.
In Coral Gables. And he met Michael McKeever, who's also a prolific local playwright. And after we met Michael, he and his husband, Stuart Meltzer, came to us and said, we've got an idea. We'd love to start a theater company. Would you all be interested in doing it with us? And so that's sort of how it came to fruition. And my husband ended up getting a play on Broadway. Our thought was, let's have a professional theater company in Miami where we employ professionals, where we keep actors and set designers and lighting designers in Miami and not have them moving out to Chicago or to New York. And we really support the local professionals in our community. And we also wanted to try to launch new work out of Miami. And so, Chris and Michael were doing new work. So we were just trying to get work that went from Miami maybe to New York instead of from New York to Miami.
Gotcha. And your husband's name, I mean, he's not just your husband, is Christopher is his name, right?
His name is Christopher Demas. He writes under the pen name Christopher Demas Brown. Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So he actually had a play on Broadway. What was that?
He did. It was called American Son.
Yeah.
With Kerry Washington. They made a Netflix show out of it. I mean, it's the play that they then recorded on a soundstage, and it's on Netflix right now. You can watch it.
Excellent. I will. All right. So you start the theater company, and is it just like what? I mean, I know you want to keep stuff in Miami. That we have the New World, which actually, has kind of branched off into all these other academic institutions that support art and have theater people, right? Right. So and that was kind of a little bit of a tricky thing because I think the New World wanted to be the one-stop place in Miami for getting those kind of people in.
For you mean like New World Symphony, the orchestra?
Yeah.
Well, New World School of the Arts, which is downtown, it's the theater magnet. It's a high school and it's part of the University of Florida now. You get a degree from the University of Florida if you go there, but it's strictly an acting school, a theater school. And Stewart taught there.
Yeah.
So there were all of these kids graduating from New World School of the Arts, the college, and we wanted to try to keep them here too,
Yeah.
instead of having them have to move off to New York or what have you. So there were just a lot of people here to try to employ, and we were willing to do that and try to create something wonderful for the community.
All right. So are you bringing in plays that are like traveling around the country? Are you creating your new plays? Like what is Zoetic and how is it the same or different than other theater companies?
So Zoetic does 4 plays a year. We are in the black box of the Arsht Performing Arts Center. We have a great space where we can we can move the stage and the seats around. So we can have a theater in the round, we can have proscenium, we can set it up however we want. It seats about 200 to 300 people. And we do 1 musical a year. We usually do 1 or 2 new plays a year. And we do a play that has usually been off Broadway, maybe an older play from off Broadway. And we try to just keep some really new, exciting works going.
All right. And so what is going on?
Okay, so right now, nothing's going on right this second, but in 2 weeks, we're going to open Fiddler on the Roof. It's sort of reimagined by Stuart Meltzer because we are in a small space and Fiddler is usually a tremendously huge cast.
Yeah.
So he's pared it down a little bit. He's being very creative, and that's what he does best. And he's fantastic at musicals. And that will run for 4 weeks. And then we're doing a play called Comeuppance, which was off Broadway. And it's the same author that wrote the play that was on Broadway that won the Tony called, oh my goodness, I'm going to remember it. His last name is Jenkins. I have to remember the name of the play for you, but it won the Tony last year for Best Play. And so this is another one of his plays. It's about 30-year-olds who are getting together for their high school reunion. And it's sort of the pre-party before the high school reunion and where they are in their lives and what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I saw it off Broadway and I thought it was great.
And is it their production or are you using your people?
Oh, it's always our production. So we never move a play from another location into our space. Our space is always produced and directed and acted by our people.
And that would be, so that's the South Florida crew.
Yes. On a very rare occasion, we bring somebody from New York maybe to fill a role, but very rare. It's usually always local professional actors.
All right. So Fiddler on the Roof, people I'm sure are familiar with that.
Yes.
And so you're reproducing Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes.
Is it going to fit the same plot or, I mean, like, how is it?
Oh, it's the same show. It's just we're producing it. So that means the way the show is written, the words are written and the music is written. But other than that, the stage design is what we want it to be. The direction is what we want it to be. The lighting is what we want it to be. And we can pare it down. So we might not have a massive cast standing on the stage because it's a very small, intimate space, which is what's so great about this type of theater. You're so close to the actors. But otherwise, it's every song that you expect to hear from Fiddler on the Roof. And it's the same story. It's the same dialogue. Nothing changes about that.
Small space, where does the orchestra go?
So we usually have our orchestra behind the stage. And sometimes people don't even realize it's a live orchestra until they come out for their curtain call at the end. But it's always a live orchestra.
I like that and I don't. I mean, the downside for me is that I kind of I'm into music or whatever. So I actually like to look at some of the musicians as they're performing, but then that distracts me. So it's like,
right.
I got to be, it's sort of the same thing with like the opera when you're like trying to look at the translation and you're missing.
Right. And you can't watch the show at the same time.
Yeah.
This is a little easier, I think.
All right. So Fiddler on the Roof starts March
You know what? I'm trying to find that out for you. I should have come with my dates. I believe it starts March 14th.
Yes, okay. And when you, Adrian Arsh Center, we're talking about that big place downtown.
Yes, that big place downtown where the Broadway shows travel to. We are in the smaller black box that is off to the side
Okay,
down the hallway. It starts March 13th to April 6th.
so I presume that Zoetic Stage is partnering with Adrian Arsh Center.
Yes, the musicals, we partner with them. They help us co-produce it, but just from a money standpoint, because the musicals are very expensive to produce. Everything else, all the other three shows, Zoetic produces by itself.
All right, and so you've been doing this now for 15 years.
This is our 15th year.
Well, give me some of the highlights.
Some of the highlights,
Let's
some of the
start with
things
the
we've done in the past. Okay, so we've done, some of the musicals we've done are Fun Home. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It won a Tony.
Okay,
Next to Normal won a Tony. We've done a ton of Sondheim. Stuart Meltzer loves Sondheim. We're doing Merrily We Roll Along next season. So
okay,
that's our musical for next season. We've done a lot of new plays. We did a new play last year called Wicked Child that really did well. We've done many new plays by Chris, one called Captiva. We were hoping to mount Captiva with its prequel sequel called Coral Gables in another season.
Yeah.
And we've done Clark Gable Slept Here, which is one of Michael McKeever's original plays. So we've done a lot of originals and a lot of musicals that you've heard of, and some straight plays that if you are into plays, and when I say straight plays, I mean a play without any music.
Yeah.
If you're into those kinds of plays, we don't really do very traditional old plays that are, done over and over again. Like we don't usually do. We have done a Pinter play, but we don't usually do a Streetcar Named Desire or anything like that. Stuff. We do more modern plays.
Now, I think you did Dracula.
We did Dracula, and that was fantastic. That really, really went over well. We always do a play in October, so sometimes we try to do something that's connected to Halloween.
Horror.
So
horror.
Yeah,
I like to call it horror. Yeah,
horror, if you want to call it horror. So we do try to link that into our October spot sometimes.
Yeah. Does that work in the theater world these days?
Yes, it does. People love that.
I know, no, I love that. I mean, but I gotta really be, you gotta really nail it to get me. Oh my God, I'm so scared. Otherwise, I might break out into laughter. All right, so give me some of the things some of the pitfalls, some of the things that you've had to struggle to get past. I mean, was the community receptive to this? Are the actors and actresses like, don't bother me, I'm going to New York?
No, I think a lot of the actors are thrilled to death that there's more professional theater companies in South Florida for them to work at, because they want to stay in their community. So a lot of these actors are wonderful. They're teachers at some of your local high schools or over at the New World School of Performing Arts. Those are their day jobs. And then they love to come out and they're part of Actors Equity, which is the union out of New York. Okay. They are professionals. That's what designates them as professionals. You have to work in a professional theater company before you can ever become a professional actor. You have to have so many plays in a professional theater company. And so they're delighted that we're here, and especially the set designers and the lighting designers. Some of the pitfalls is it's hard to keep all of these people in Miami, and some of them do leave us. And so it's hard to find, specifically, it's harder to find set designers and the lighting designers. It's a little easier to find the actors because they've stuck around a little bit.
All right. So you go, I want to present you with a hypothetical. You're going to New York, you got 1 week. Are you going to do theater?
Every single time. I will see 5 shows in 3 days.
5 shows in 3 days. Okay. Yes. What are your favorite theaters there? Give me your top 3.
Oh, well, I don't know. I just go to all of the Broadway theaters. I mean, I love Lincoln Center. They always do something great.
Yeah.
All of the other theaters, the way that Broadway works is you have a producer who then goes to the theater and says, I have this show. can I do it here? And you know what's really interesting about Broadway that we learned when Chris's show was there is everything's done on a handshake. There
Nice,
is no contract. So
nice.
there's a handful of big producers, and they know the Schuberts, they know the handful of people that own the professional theater houses, and they will go to them and say, this is what I've got. What do you think? Are you willing to let me come in and use your space? And they will agree or not. But
Yeah.
typically, it's always on a handshake.
All right, so tell me next, you're going to New York next week. What do you want to go see? What are you going to go see?
Well, I love musicals. My husband loves straight plays, so I'm always trying to see the musicals. I'm trying to think of what's playing right now that I have not seen that I would really like to see. There's so many good musicals right now. I wanted to see The Great Gatsby. They turned that into a musical,
Yeah,
which looks fantastic. I wanted to see, I'm trying to think of what else is going on up there right now. And Juliet, have you heard of that?
no,
They were also doing Romeo and Juliet, sort of a reimagined Romeo and Juliet
nice.
on Broadway that I wanted to see. There's a lot to see. And there's a lot of new musicals. You know, after COVID, it was hard to see anything. They didn't have a lot happening. But now there's so much more. I'm trying to think, I think the Tony Awards are coming out in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, you've got the ones that are there forever that are still running. If you haven't seen Hamilton, you got to see Hamilton.
Yeah,
If you haven't seen Wicked, which you can see in the movie theater now, you should see it live too, because it's fantastic. And you know, they've got Moulin Rouge 6, the musical. If you haven't seen that, that's fantastic as well. So there's just a lot out there to see, and you know, it's never a dull moment. And if you're looking for a good ticket that's not going to kill you, oh, you know, they made The Outsiders into a musical as well.
oh, nice. I love that. Yeah.
Which is really great. You can go to TKTS, which is right there in the square. And if you wait till maybe like 10 minutes before the show is about to start, they usually release house shows or house seats that are available.
Yeah.
And you can get a pretty decent seat for half price.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to save your money, that's the way to go to Broadway.
I actually did that. I saw the Louis Armstrong.
Oh, yeah.
And
that started here. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So that play was launched out of Miami. It was an original musical, and it was done by New Theater over on Miami Beach, which is in the old Colonnade Theater. And they launched it. It went from here to New Orleans and I think to Chicago, and now it's on Broadway, but it's from Miami.
That makes sense. New Orleans, Chicago, you know, because that's sort of what Louis did.
Yeah.
That was, and that was at the old Studio 54.
Oh yeah, Studio 54 is a great space. Very intimate, very small.
All right, so I think that pretty much does it. Is there anything else that you want to cover, talk about?
No, we just love to see you. We do, it's called Theater Up Close is our subscription, our season subscription at Zoetic. You can get your tickets a lot cheaper if you buy a Theater Up Close subscription, I think almost half price.
Yeah.
And you can come see all 4 of our shows. And then typically there's one other show that they bring into the space that the Art Center programs in that space. So it's five tickets for, I think, about $200. It's really a great buy.
Does Zoetic Stage have a gala?
We have something called cabaret and karaoke. So it's a lot more fun than your black tie gala. It's usually in a fabulous home somewhere in Miami that somebody is just kind enough to let us host in. And we bring in some of our actors and they put on a performance, they sing and perform. And then we open up the mic to anybody that's in the house. So you can get up there and you can perform yourself. Oh no, we will advertise it on Zoetic's website. And it's usually in April. We don't have a date yet, but it will be in April. And if you'd like to come, we will send you an invite, Greg. We'd love to have you.
I might do it. April's a busy month for me. There's like lots of lawyer conferences that I get forced into going to and all that kind of stuff or whatever. But I definitely am going to see you. Well, I'm definitely going to go see Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, great.
And you know, my girlfriend and I are friends with Sandra, who's going to be doing the choreography of
yes, of Fiddler.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, great.
So hopefully, you know, we can all make it happen, and hopefully I can see you in April. And
yes,
you know what? I mean, the microphone, you get that microphone in my hands and No, I swore to myself that I was not going to sing any of the Fiddler on the Roof songs in this podcast.
Come on, just a little
I,
bit.
oh, if I was a rich man,
There
yeah.
you go.
All right, that's it. All right, that'll do it for
That's
this
great.
episode of Cut to the Chase. Stephanie, thank you for coming on. Great seeing you. I hope to see you soon. Keep up the great work. I'm very excited about this. And sad I didn't know about it, all these years.
I'm so glad you found us. We hope to be there for many more years to come, and we'd love to see you there.
All right, sounds good. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. Any comments, questions? I know it's YouTube and it's audio, whatever, but the comments and the questions got to go on the YouTube channel. So get them there. If you want me to ask Sandra any questions about what she's going to do at Fiddler on the Roof, let him make it happen. Anyhow, Stephanie, get back to some of that lawyer work. All right, we need justice.
This was much more fun. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
All right. Take care.
That's all for this episode of Cut to the Chase. But before you go, will you open up your podcast app and give us a 5-star review? You can also leave a comment about what you liked most or other topics you'd like us to cover. And please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming shows. Thanks, everybody. Be safe out there.